Okay, and we are live. Welcome back, everybody, to the RevoReport. We have a very special guest today, and the reason why is because we did an interview with Greg Armstrong, and he has been working very closely with Greg Armstrong for several years now. For how many years now, Alex?
14 years ago.
14 years. And this is something that we haven't seen a lot online. And I know that Greg's video got a lot of comments from you guys, got a lot of questions from you guys, because it's a new system, it's a new approach to really engage in Muslims. And we really want to know how Alex came up with all of this, where it all began. But first, Alex, welcome. And I want to know, how did it all begin for you? Can you take us back to the beginning from when you were born? You're talking about, you're being baptized in the Orthodox Church,
Yeah,
and then
baptized in Orthodox Church. Was of course infant, and but I was raised as atheist. I became more interested in communist ideas, and I became member of Communist Party for a short while of in army. Like I joined the army and have to pray.
right.
And eventually, but by the time of I disbanded from army, it was a perestroika, and knowledge was accessible for everybody who was in the formation. So when I started looking through stuff, I start questioning my communist allegiance. And when I saw the troubles, when I started back in my country, I was born in Azerbaijan, and the war started with neighborhood Armenia, and I saw the people acting like really bad. Not exactly the same way the communists prove us, or they tell us we'll be better people in the future, right? But I didn't see the bad things. I saw the worst thing happening. Humans didn't really change over decades or centuries or millenniums. And I heard from the Bible that human heart is sinful and wicked. Right? So that my long journey to Christ. And eventually I moved to Canada in 1994, and I became a believer just before I moved it. I said, I'm not atheist anymore. Based on the knowledge I have, I visited a couple of times churches, different churches, and I felt like that's the truth there in the Bible. I haven't read the Bible yet, so I started reading the Bible in Canada when I came in. I get Bible from back home in Russian, and I was reading it, and I started confused. Of course, I get confused, I'm jealous. And then I was invited to one church and then another one, and eventually I was baptized in Polish Baptist Church in Toronto. And I start bringing Bible to work, and I start openly sharing my faith. And then everybody like kind of shocked, like, like you're Christian? I didn't know you're Christian, right? Tons of questions came to me, right, from them. And I was like, okay, now I have to know what I believe, right? So I have to be apologist.
Right.
That's how it started. Now I start reading my Bible, I start talking to a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses at that time that were very active in 97, 98 or before that. So then I start going into the street, like once in a while, passing tracks or door knocking myself and maybe with somebody, friend, right? It didn't really work well for me. I didn't find its comfort or anything. Anyway, but 2001, I didn't really look into the Quran at all. I talked to Jehovah's Witnesses, to Christadelphians, to Mormons, to whatever, atheists, right? A little bit of Jews as well, not a little, quite a bit. Jews, right? So, but then 9/11 happened, and I look at the Quran, try to find the jihad, because somebody said there is no jihad in the Quran. I was like, yeah, really? Let me check, right? So, but of course there is jihad in the Quran, but what caught my attention is the stories from the Old Testament in the Quran, which is not aligned with the Old Testament. And that drove me to read the entire Quran and finding the stories. That's what I was aiming at. I didn't care about jihad or anything else. And I found a lot of stories of the Old Testament, and of course some kind of New Testament stories, not really from New Testament, but sounds like stories. And by the time I thought, oh, I have to make a file, Excel chart, and I put stories of the Quran and the Bible side by side. But then I met one guy who showed me his book. He said, this is my book. Mormons, like your book, you can publish books, they can do your own money, you can do that. Right?
Yeah.
So eventually he encouraged me to write the book, and it took me another year or so to actually make a format of the book, Quran Bible Comparison.
Yeah.
Eventually in 2007, I was done and I published it here in Toronto. And one of my friends at work who knew what I was doing, I shared with him my thoughts.
Yeah.
And he actually, in the beginning, I want to have only Quran and Bible and the heading.
Right.
story, right?
Mm.
And as he looking through it, I said, I don't understand what you mean. Like, what's difference? And he said, you have to write some kind of notes in the end.
Mm.
I'm like, oh, okay. So it took me another year to write notes.
Right.
And like my explanation, 1, 2, 3, what Quran said, 1, 2, 3, what Torah said. And I could see the conflict of interest to speak. And
Mm.
eventually, but the same guy came to me in 2007, early 2007, and he gave me a few books from Quran or Islamic.
Mm.
And I said, oh, where do you get it from? He said, from Toronto, from downtown. The Muslims gave it to me. Muslims downtown? I said, yeah. Oh, they have a table. Oh, they have a table, so I can also have a table, right? And I went there to Young and Dundas
Mhm.
in front of the former Eaton Center. And I put my small desk, my small table. I make printed like Quran Bible comparison notes. So I make sure people could see it. And I have about maybe 1 or 2 boxes. I don't remember how many,
Mm.
but they were all taken out. People were grabbing.
Wow.
I was like, okay, that was free, right?
Yeah, yeah.
A thick book, it's thicker than this one. The edition was thicker. And then next time, when I came on Saturday, my friend, this late friend of mine came with me also. He's from Pakistan, originally Christian from Pakistan. So he started.
He's a Christian from Pakistan. Okay. Because I know they have a very small Christian population.
I met a lot of later on, right? But he was the first one I met. And we met by accident, let's say, at good accident. And he supported me. I said, okay, let's go, and I will come on as well. We chat with people, and I brought more books with me at the time. We chat with Muslim guys because they was giving away Quran a few meters away from my table. And then he said, oh, I have a friend and I'll bring him next time. So he brought a friend, and that friend brought another friend, and then brought a big table. And you could see in the picture, like how 30 by 72 table with a sign and everything, and full of literature. And I was bringing literature myself, right? So, and it was at that time, the Muslim, before the second time when I adopted a Muslim, he got my book before, and he was upset with the book because whenever I wrote something he didn't like about jihad or something.
Yeah.
And the way he talked to me, I felt unsafe.
Okay. He's getting aggressive.
It was not aggressive, but the way he talks, like it's a bad book or something. So I said, okay, should I come? Should I not come? I don't know. But then thought came to me, you don't need to bring your book. You have materials over years. You accumulate a lot of good stuff.
Right.
I'm like, yeah, that's a good idea. So I came with all the stuff, and that's how it became like a Bible corner, like
right.
And that from 2007 to 2019, like all these years, I was going there every Saturday, sometimes Friday, but usually Friday, somewhere like 11, 12-ish, and then stay about 4 hours, just a regular time slot, right? And have some different friends with me coming up and helping out. So it was very interesting point of sharing with anybody who comes in, because I don't really give any tracks away.
Right.
I'm not a street preacher. I'm street evangelist. That's quite different.
It's a difference, yeah.
But street preacher could be is street evangelist, but street evangelist is not a street preacher.
That's right.
So I never preach to the crowd. I wait for people to come to me.
You have a more intimate interaction there.
Yeah, because that's my goal. Just talk one-to-one with the person to see who they are, and then give a gospel accordingly. So that's how it started. But of course, my aim was also to Muslim.
Right.
I came out with like talking to everybody, atheists, Hindus, you name it, right? Catholics. People are coming to us, to me, to my friends as well. But the difficult part with Muslims, because they come to me and start asking questions. No matter how I answer the question, they seems like they not satisfied, right? So I don't change their mind or something. But this time I kind of knew, because I already read the book, I read the Quran, and I compared with the Bible.
Yeah.
I knew the Quran is not from God for sure. It's a false book, but how can I tell them?
Yeah.
And for 4 years, I was struggling. Like literally, I had very little desire later on to even talk to Muslims. I was not happy.
Really?
And I said Muslims, I was like, oh no. Even it was my initial idea, reach out. So I was trying to find a way how can I wrap up the package? I mean, I have a package, but since wrapping is wrong, right? Something is not right. But it was one meeting I got with one Muslim guy came to me, and she pointed to the Bibles on my corner of my book table. And she said, is it the word of God? I said, yes. Second question, how do I know it? Well, take it and read it. It's free. She said, no, before I take and read it, before I open it, I want to know, So how do you know a book by the cover? You can't judge book by the cover. You better read it. I said, no, no, no. Before I open it, I want to know. Prove me. Or something like that. I don't remember because it was years ago, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, how can I prove you? Like, you have to read, man. Yep. Come on, come on.
Yeah.
No, he said, no, no, no. And then I said, I've been frustrated for 10 minutes. I don't know. Go back and forth, back and forth. No results. I don't understand what he wants. If his demand is too high, I don't get, right? So I said, you know what? Why don't you get, if you don't want to read Bible, read the Quran Bible comparison. At least you can get part of the Quran, part of the Bible. So he take the book, he look through, and he should drop it on my table and say, I don't want to know what's inside. I said, you know why you go to hell? It's not because you don't know the truth.
Yeah.
Don't want to know the truth. That his answer was like really knocked me down. Like, and he was like visibly scared from the way I talked to him very aggressively. Normally, I'm just talking like that to you, right?
Yeah.
Peaceful guy. Right?
But your anger kind of came out in that moment. Yeah.
Like immediately with no reason. I don't know what happened. But I was really upset with him and condemned him to hell. So he walked away quiet. And for next couple of weeks, every time I remember that interaction, I was disturbed. Stupid question he asked. What's that? And it bothered me. But at the same time, I was going to Christian Muslim dialogues. And one of the topic was, one of the Muslims said somewhere out of everything. That's what I remember from that meeting. He said, you Christians invented original sin. And of course, I'll have a lot of people around talking, like Muslims and Christians alike. When he said it, if I have a chance, I pull out my Bible, find spots, and then raise my hand. I said, reply back. And I start from Old Testament only, from the end of Old Testament to the Genesis 3 and that 2.
Yeah.
When he looked at me and she said, that was changed. And that's put me into I was stunned.
Yeah.
I didn't say anything to him. I was thinking, okay, first you blame Paul when I show you the Old Testament. Now you're blaming Moses because the last thing it was Torah, right?
Right.
So I came home 11, 12, midnight or whatever. So going to sleep. I went to the computer and opened the browser, the Quran, and I typed the Torah for the first time in my life. As 9 years, I was doing this research. First time I do Torah and search. And what I find in Quran is actually what the author of the Quran is speaking very highly about in the time of Muhammad. And I was, how dare you say that? You have to follow your book. Why are you going against your book?
Yeah.
So next month, I visit the same place and I have a printout of all verses. He was not there, but other Muslims that were there. And I stood up and I just read these passages saying from the Quran, saying, how dare you say about the Torah that corrupted them? Your own Quran said otherwise.
Right.
And there was silence. And I thought, oh, that's something interesting. So that's where to go. And then to Toronto came exhibition of.
And is that, Alex, is that just the Torah you're quoting there? No hadith, no.
Okay. No, what happened is the Quran speaks about the Torah, Zabur, which is Psalms of David, and Injil, which is Gospel.
Yeah.
There is no name of Bible or Old Testament.
Right.
Or the Paul's writings or Acts. There's nothing like the Torah, Injil, Zabur, Injil, right? So definitely. And because of, I quoted Genesis 3 and 2 to this Muslim guy. And he said that was changed. Like you said the Torah of Moses was changed. So you blame Paul and now you're blaming Moses. So in my head stuck Torah because Moses was a later. Right?
Yes.
The original sin is from Genesis, not from any other books, right? The Old Testament and even New Testament.
Yeah.
Originates there. So in my head is Torah. That's why I punched the Torah and I find it several verses. I came next month and I find, no reply. Okay. Then this is Scrolls exhibition came to Toronto, 2009, 2010. And of course, let me visit. It's all these manuscripts. I just started learning about it. And I find out that I went there. It's a nice exhibition, amazing. Get very excited. And on the way back, I purchased this booklet. That's exactly the booklet I purchased. And then I came home and I started reading it and I could see highlights, right? I do the highlights, yellow, something interesting. Like then the page 18 of Genesis, it's talking about the Genesis. And it said, because Genesis, that whatever they find Genesis, parts of the Genesis, it said that it's like 120, 100 years before Christ.
Wow.
25 to 100 years before Christ.
Yeah.
And it said that the copies of Genesis from among the Dead Sea Scrolls are extremely similar to the traditional Hebrew text.
Wow.
And that became like an eureka moment. Like that's what I'm looking for. I
Yeah.
believe I could find in just a booklet. I don't know. I don't think they're like Christians or Jews who wrote it. So I don't know Hebrew. I can't compare, but they have access.
Yes.
I don't have access. They did. And they look at it and they said it's extremely similar. So what I did, I started looking more into it. Now it's like Torah became more apparent for me to use. It's not because Islam contradicted the Torah. Before it contradicted New Testament, it contradicted the Torah. So I started looking into it. And in the one meeting at the same Christian Muslim dialogue, one Muslim said to me, pointed out to me that Genesis 21 verse 14, it's talking about Ishmael being, at the time of expulsion, he was an infant. Not as the Torah said. He said, you see, the Torah, it confuses. The writer of the Torah made mistakes, but not everything from the Torah was corrected by them. So they missed some details, and these details are proving the point what we as a Muslim say. He was an infant at the time of departure. So that's what he said. And he said Genesis 21:14, and then a few other verses when said like sheep put them under the shrub, and God said, pick up the boy and hold it in your hands or wait by your hand, depends on the translation. So he said basically the shoulder, it looked like she put on the shoulder, maybe, right? Shoulder, shrub, and hand. That tells us that he was an infant at the time.
Yeah.
So
Because you're not going to put a teenager over your shoulder. And
that's obvious, right? So, okay, I came up, but that was very late in the evening. So we were already wrapping up when he make that claim. So I came to the pastor. I said, next month, I'll have a presentation. I will rebuttal that. He said, sure. So I prepared my presentation, thorough examination. I was happy about it. I print out about 4 pages, stapled them, and I make 25 copies of 4 pages each.
wow.
To give so many,
Yeah.
because usually I have 20 plus people are coming to our Muslims and Christians to follow up. And there was examination from the Bible about Ishmael and Isaac, how they connect, how all the timelines and everything, right? So, but nobody came next time. I mean, those people who challenged me, that was very few people. So of course I didn't raise up the question. So what I did is like, I have to wait now. I have to 1 month more to prepare, but I already know what I'm going to say. For the next 3 weeks and about 5 days, I was like rehearsing in my head. Should I say that? Let's say polish that statement of word, right? So we met on usually Tuesday night. So I think it was a Sunday night when I was, again, like 100 times already sit before the computer against like rehearsing in my head. What should I say? How the best way to say this and that. And then suddenly a thought coming to me, read the Hadith. Before that, I spent 1 year reading the Hadith, studying the Hadith, Sahih Bukhari, even have Excel chart of my favorites, interesting stuff. I was just collecting that, right? So I've been there. Okay, I've done it. Like I don't remember anything specific, but the thought came like, read the Hadith. What Hadith? Okay, now I know where to find the Hadith. I go on browser and search for what, or I have to search that story, right? Yeah. Okay, so it makes sense. So I'm searching that story of the Abraham and Ishmael and Hagar. And within the 2 minutes, I just sprang from my chair like it was another eureka, right? Then I was shocked when I saw it. And then I realized that my presentation is not good. And I take all the 24 copies and throwing in a basket, garbage bin. That's it. And I was happy. For 2 days, I was like happy, waiting for that evening. That evening, that Muslim guy show up and a lot of extra Muslim guys show up.
Yeah.
With a beard and with Afghani hats and everything. Right? But when my time came, I simply asked him a question. 2 months ago, you asked me about Genesis 21:14. You use it against me as proof of your point, right?
Yeah.
I asked him, will you agree that at least this verse is not corrupt? He looked at me and said, I don't know. I was like, no, you can't say that. Either yes or no, have to retract your statement 2 months ago. Will you agree this was not corrupted? Everything else might be corrupt.
Yeah.
But at least this verse, because you use it. He said, I'm sure. I said, no, you can't say that. So third time I asked him, he said, I don't know, or I'm not sure. But this time everybody like silently listened to my conversation. I don't want to give up.
Yeah.
It's very thorough. It's must yes or no.
Yes.
It's like, I don't know. Then finally one Muslim on the back, he said, okay, Alex, we agree with that. Okay, go. And I went out. And when I saw reaction,
When you say you went on, can you explain step by step? Okay, you did this, you said this.
okay, that's a little bit longer, but
Or if
yeah.
you could summarize some
I'll
of the
try to
key.
summarize
Yeah.
it. So in Genesis 21:14, we talk about, and what precede that, we see the whole life of Ishmael as what he was, before he was born, how the Hagar was running away from Sarah, coming back, and then she gave birth to Ishmael. He was only child of Abraham, only heir of the, so to speak, throne. And Abraham was a very wealthy man, has probably 1,000 people in his household, let's say, right? Like a servants, slaves, or whatever. So until year 14, like we didn't hear about him, Ishmael, until year 13. He was 13 years old. Then God came and told Abraham to circumcise. So he circumcised him, Ishmael, himself, and all male, sir, everybody. So, and then 1 year later, the Isaac was born. So we have to remember that days, right? It's like 10, 13, he was circumcised.
Yeah.
14, Isaac was born. So now Ishmael is not the only heir of the throne, but he was the firstborn.
Yeah.
It's important. Still, he will get 2/3 of the inheritance. He's wealthy. His future is amazingly good.
Yeah.
Financially, at least. And Isaac was weaned, and we talk about maybe 2, 3 years old. I bet probably 3 years old. We'd start introducing the solid food instead of mother's milk. So Abraham make a feast for that occasion. And Sarah looked and she saw then Ishmael mock or laugh at Isaac. So she didn't find it nice. So she told Abraham, get rid of slave woman and for child, because he's not going to be inherited with Isaac. So Abraham didn't like it. That's Genesis 21. But God told Abraham, just don't worry about it. Let her go. I'll take care of that. I'll take care of him, because Ishmael, as you see, he will have a nation, 12 kings he will born, and so on, right? And hey, no problem. God said so. Cool, that's good. No problem, right? So he went to sleep. That was presumably evening that day. So Tuesday evening, he was up. He gave a bottle of water, bread, bottle of water, and child. They departed for Canaan, which is not far from Gerar in Genesis 20, verse 1. We talk about the Gerar area of his dwelling. So it's very close to what we know about the Gaza area. So, but west from Beersheba, we have a Beersheba, city of Beersheba, Israel. So they departed and they went in the area of wilderness of Beersheba and wandered there. They get lost, Ishmael and Hagar. And the water in the skin was gone. So she didn't refill the skin, and she brought Hagar, Ishmael over there, and she tried to find the well she'd been looking at, and Beer Lahai Roy, I believe. But she missed that, right? And it was way south. And then she figured out we're going to die, right? And then angel of the Lord said, here's a well, look at it. And that well it's in Beersheba. But when you read the Hadith, it's a completely different story. In the Hadith, it's Ibrahim, as it mentioned, it's brought Hagar and Ishmael while she was suckling him. So he was 3 months old, approximately, down to Mecca, dropped them there, and moved back. Mecca has nothing there, except probably ruins of original Kaaba, which was built by maybe Adam, that some Muslims say. But there's nothing there. Nobody lives there, right? And she's running between the two, Safa and Marwa, looking for help because baby's crying. There's no water down, right? Dying. And then angel came and opened up well of Zamzam, and she drank the water. And as she drank the water, she got the milk in the breasts, and she fed the child. So he's definitely 3 months old or 4 months, right? And then,
because in Genesis, then Ishmael would probably be what, 16, 17 or something?
I think it's 17.
17. Okay. Right. So a 17-year-old is not breastfeeding, being carried.
I think it was 13 or 14, 10 or 5. We're talking about very big difference.
Yeah. And you also mentioned that, going back to Mecca, and at that time, there was no even city there.
That's what Muhammad.
And even archaeologically, there's even no evidence of that as well.
Still, and Hadith said, it's Muhammad said.
Right.
And Ibn Abbas transmitted it. So they are two guys who Muslims trust.
Wow.
And Sahih Bukhari is Sahih, meaning reliable Hadith. Then Arabs came, they saw woman and child by the well, the water. Oh, we're going to build the Mecca. And they built the Mecca. And then, of course, Ishmael grew up and learned Arabic from them. So when Christians said, oh, he's father of all Arabs, not so fast.
Mm.
Even Muhammad didn't say that. Like, why are you running up in front of Muslims saying something which even Muhammad didn't say? He said it was he learned Arabic from them, and his virtue caused them to love and admire him. And when he reached the age of puberty, they married him a woman from amongst themselves. So the question I ask is that the woman is what nationality of the woman?
So Arab?
Arab, yeah. Then we go to the Genesis 21, and it said his mother took him a wife out of the land of Egypt. So she's Egyptian, not an Arab. It's different nationality.
Right. Whoa.
That's major things.
Wow.
And the life of Ishmael, according to Muhammad, is totally different from life of Ishmael according to Torah.
Mm-hmm.
He was, until 17, a wealthy child. Nothing wrong with him. He got abundance of everything. It's opposite with Muhammad when they told the story. Because he was fatherless, sorry. He never had a father until, if you read the entire hadith, Muhammad, when Ishmael met his father, he was about, in my estimation, 20, 25 years old. Married twice, divorced once. So it's totally different story. It's different people. Muhammad gave completely different storyline. And somehow not many people actually talking about it.
In the Islamic version, Abraham went with him and Hagar there to drop him off.
Yet he was probably 3 months old.
Right.
So
Because that's in that version.
yes.
So Abraham dropped him off.
Then he
And-
went twice more, meeting his wives, consecutive wives.
Wait, Abraham went back twice more?
At least I have a 4 meeting. According to this hadith, he traveled to Mecca 4 times. And the last time he was there, he built the Kaaba with Ishmael. So that's why Muhammad said,
What is the
Kaaba is a cube. So that's the focal point of worshiping. That's a house of God. It's equivalent of a temple.
right?
Solomon.
And that's where they have to go one time in their lifetime to go there to Mecca, and they walk around it. I see they're doing some type of okay.
They walk around 7 times. They do a lot of
7
rituals.
times.
And that in the Quran said clearly that all the rituals, it's God or Allah show him, Abraham and Ishmael. Ishmael was a kind of prophet to a nation at that time. So in the time of Ishmael, the people in the Mecca were monotheists as Abraham. But eventually over centuries, they went to the, and when Muhammad came, he said, I'm going to purify the house of the Lord. We're going to remove all the idols. We're going to worship only Allah, because that's initially was built by Ibrahim. Ibrahim is monotheist. So I am in line of that prophet through Ishmael, and I'm going to restore the original faith of Ibrahim or Abraham. Right? Because can you imagine that before the tabernacle of Moses, it was a Kaaba. So before Moses built tabernacle, Solomon built temple, and then in Jerusalem, right?
Oh, so that's one of the claims.
That was a claim. She said, I'm the first guy.
Okay.
Islam is the first religion. Forget about it. Before Judaism or Christianity, it was Islam all the way.
And it was Abraham that went and built it on one of his trips
The
back.
foundation of Islam is Abraham and his structure. Well, according to Genesis,
Interesting.
he never been there, never built anything.
Right.
And that creates a lot of huge problem for Muslims, because
Whoa.
if Abraham never built the Kaaba, so who built it? Pagans. So it was it's a pagan shrine until now, and Muslims unknowingly worship pagan shrine 5 times a day, burned down.
Which were the polytheists.
They are. So they have nothing to do with Ishmael, nothing to do with Abraham, nothing to do with believing in one true God. It's almost like, can you imagine if, let's say, for example, in Athens, Greeks said, you know what? Let's get rid of all the gods, but Zeus is only God. To make Zeus true God?
No.
Same thing. Allah became only true God, but he was not true God. He never been. There's no knowledge of true God among the Arabs, and Muhammad didn't know that.
It reminds me of my first conversation with Greg near the tail end of our interview, where I was just trying to wrap my head around it. So what was the response when you're kind of laying all this out?
And the guy who actually conceded the point to me when he said, we believe that verse is fine.
Yes.
So he felt like to say something, and he tried to say something. Oh, it was nice presentation. It was that, but he felt like he put them in trouble.
Right. Because they conceded to, okay, that's not corrupted. Right. So is that the first step then, is to get them to concede first that this is not corrupted?
Why? You see, this is one of my friends from work, co-worker, give me this, the oldest.
Wow. Yeah.
It's actually from Israel. It was printed there,
Oh,
published there.
yeah.
In 1971, I think it's Tel Aviv. So it's Hebrew and English. So every time Muslim come to my table,
Yeah.
and she see I'm a Christian, she said, I have a question for you. Are you Christian? Yeah. I said, I Muslim? Yes. I have a question for you. I said, before you ask, may I ask you a question? And she's like, stop. And I pulled my book. I said, do you know what the book is? They guess, sometimes correctly.
Yeah.
And then I opened somewhere. So, well, that's the Torah and the Tanakh is different. And I showed them something in the Hebrew version. Like I said, is it the word of God uncorrupted in my hands right now? And they look and they give me three answers. Of course it's corrupt.
Okay.
I think it's corrupted. Most of them, like 80%, maybe more. They say,
Yeah.
I think it's corrupted, but we don't know when and how and when.
Yeah.
And then few will say, oh, it's never corrupted. Allah, no, Allah give it to Torah to Musa. Basically, when I understood this point, remember I told you that I met this guy who said, how do I know about Bible is true word of God? But show me without opening it.
Yeah.
I find out that was a brilliant question. And I think, God, I'm sorry I yell at him basically, right?
Yeah.
I condemn him to hell for a stupid question. It was a brilliant question. Why?
Ah,
Because what I do exactly what he said to me, but with every Muslims. First, I show them Bible.
okay.
They say, maybe yes, maybe it's corrupt, maybe it's not corrupt.
Yeah.
I put them over here. And
Okay.
what I do, I bring up the Quran.
Okay.
I don't need to open the Bible. All I need to open the Quran.
Yeah.
And I open the Quran. Actually, this is from Saudi edition, right? So it's King Fahd, which is late King Fahd.
What does that King Fahd?
Oh, he confirmed this is a good translation.
Okay. So if you showed any Muslim this, they would say, oh, absolutely. This is a
Because
perfect translation.
Yeah. And what I do, I open physically this book and I show them several passages
Saying that that is not corrupted.
in the days of Muhammad. Maybe today is corrupted, but not in the days of Muhammad.
And then you have to show that this Hebrew Bible, this Torah, is the same as the days of the Dead Sea Scrolls.
The Dead Sea
Interesting.
Scroll is a trump card because it was written, well, at least about 700 years before Muhammad.
Right.
And they story the same
Yes.
or close enough. I mean, I study differences, right? And I know them, but they have nothing to do with Christian-Muslim dialogue. They're
Right.
not related. There's a book I really ask Muslims and Christians to buy.
Okay.
That's a scroll Bible. They show all, like they compare 4 different manuscripts. Dead Sea Scrolls, Septuagint, Samaritan Pentateuch, and Masoretic text.
Oh.
See difference in all of them. You can see tons of differences.
Right.
When Muslims said, oh, you have differences. Sure, yeah. But they are not related to our conversation.
Right.
They are small thing, minor thing. So, and I studied this book and this is my point of reference.
I see.
And I start my point from that. And then I move to my.
Okay. So you have to kind of establish those first. And then once you get to those, now you can actually get into the stories. Wow.
Telling you, like when I first time I use it, fully developed method. It took me about 2 years to figure out how to say it, what to say.
Yeah.
I looked at the Quran after 9/11, 2001. The first time I used the methodology, which I'm using now, almost with some changes, but technically everything stays the same functions, like points, sequence, and so on, right? I use it September 11, 2011, almost 10 years after the day. That made 10 years to figure out how to use it. And it was successful, meaning like that lady was stunned. She didn't know what to say. Yeah. She was shocked with the information. It's simple, it's benign information. It's very simple. I'm comparing stories and nobody compared. She didn't compare.
Wow.
I saw reactions. She was like visibly stunned.
Right.
And I offer her, you want to accept Christ, you can pray. She didn't say anything. And I said, okay, you can go home and pray to God and ask him, what are you going to do with information you get from him?
Yeah.
She said, yes, I will do it. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. And she started taking the Bible and the books from my table.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, what's new? Never happened ever.
Wow.
Ever. Right. And then I said, oh, by the way, you can stay Muslim. I have nothing to do. Like, don't put me in between you and God. I'm not mediator or God forbid, right?
Yeah.
So I'm nothing to gain from that. It's between you and God and you alone, your decision. I don't need even to know that. I'm not forcing you. I'm not pushing you.
Yeah.
She said, thank you several times. And she grabbed all the books and she walked away. And it was like, I was stunned now. Wow. I've never seen that happen.
Yeah.
Okay. That's it happens. It's a personality, right? So you never know.
Yeah.
But I'm going to use it again because I always use something and then I find something is not working. I change it, right?
Yeah.
And finally, I kind of try to be a perfectionist.
Yeah.
Then I used it on another guy or another lady.
Mm-hmm.
After 10, I thought, it's the same thing. It's almost the same thing. Because at the end, I preach gospel, very short form. So I'm using the Torah to show the problems of the Quran, big problems, and
Yeah.
that like a pillars of Islam.
Yeah.
The Torah is destroying the pillars of Islam. But then I use the Torah to prove original sin. This is number one.
Right. Right.
If you just bring it from the beginning, they will deny it.
Okay.
But Torah, because the Quran said it's no original sin, but the Torah disproved the Quran. Now I have opportunity to say, well, if the Quran makes so many mistakes on foundational stuff,
Right. Could it make it here
No,
too?
Of course, we don't expect the Quran to be right. Even about, and of course, it's wrong about Christ.
Yeah.
So, and then I go to original sin, building up Old Testament foundation of sacrificial system, and then Isaiah 53. I let them read. Sometimes I'm reading for them, and almost everybody said, "Oh, it's like Jesus, sounds like Jesus." I said, "Oh, okay, now it's familiar." And then I could preach from
Amazing.
it.
Right. That reminds me of one of the comments there that was saying, because in my talk with Greg, one of the things we were talking about was, he goes, we're just sticking to this verse. And one of the comments was, how can we share the gospel without talking theology or without talking this and that? But what you're saying is, it's not that we're not, but we have to establish these things first to systematically break down the reliability of the Quran, and then we can go into theology, and then we can talk about, okay, now we go into the New Testament now, because we've already proven that now that's not reliable, but the Torah is reliable, and now quite possibly maybe is the Gospels and the epistles possibly reliable. Then you can go into doctrine, you're saying.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Now you can quote the scripture passages from Old and New Testament.
Right, because now you can match the New Testament to the Old, because now you already have that premise that the Old Testament is reliable.
Yes.
So you've seen their reactions to this. I almost wanna go out there one time and film with you guys when you go out there. That's very exciting. And so when all this came about, I remember when I met up with Greg, he showed me some smaller booklet, right? And he gave me the smaller booklet. And does that kind of summarize a lot of this kind of step-by-step system?
Yeah, this one is published, like I published it 2012.
Yeah.
Muhammad was right. So
Right. That's the one that, yeah.
Yeah, that's the one, right? So I put all my 5 points, which I use right here as explanation.
Yeah.
But I also added unnecessary stuff.
Okay. Okay.
Now I am focused way more. Like I want to make it more specific.
Because you find that some of the stuff there that probably you wouldn't.
For example, I was talking about slavery on the woman on what is Islam.
Okay.
And I tried to explain it. So I was giving information which is not related to my point.
Right.
So I thought, oh, usually you put more stuff in that. No,
you need to just
instruction.
Like a laser almost.
Laser,
yeah.
Exactly. So that's what my point is. That's like even my book, Quran Bible Comparison.
Yeah.
I want to change it to Torah Quran comparison, and that, or maybe Tanakh Quran comparison, and then New Testament Tanakh comparison. Could be 3 books or a book, but at least have sections, but without theology. It's irrelevant right now.
Right.
I'm focusing on that, as I said, laser beam.
Yes.
And it's worked best for me.
Wow.
I've never seen that 2011. I couldn't, and I felt very bad. I mean, I had no successful explanation, which I could see the Muslims actually at least listening to it to the end. Can you imagine standing on the street, and busy street with all the traffic and noise and everything for 45 minutes to 1 hour, 2 hours talking, lecturing that. I give a lecture with my tone of voice like that with people on the street, and they just listen to me. That's unusual.
Yeah.
We'll listen for more than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
What about 1 hour, 2 hours? And that's amazing.
Wow. Amazing.
That's captivating information.
Wow. That's incredible, man. I'm just trying to wrap my head around it. And when you go out there to these meetings, these Christian Muslim meetings, do you find that, are the majority though Muslim? Right.
Or depends where you go. If you go to the church and church hosts the meeting, most of the time church, like Christians are majority, Muslims are minority. When we go to the masjid, to the mosque, it could be opposite.
Right.
But not every people are free at that time to come. I wish everybody, I wish pack mosque for the Muslims.
Hmm.
Well, but generally speaking, we have imams and so next by us, and we have that conversation. We talk about these stories, right?
Hmm.
So that main focus to educate them, because a lot of Muslims, they don't know the Bible though. So the first time in their lifetime, they're actually reading the biblical passage, and they could see us talking about similarities and differences,
Hmm.
because there are similarities, of course, but they also have differences, which are tremendously the big ones and the very
Right.
understand. Now we understand why Islam is what it is,
Mhm.
because it's coming from the source. When you know the source, you can figure out, oh, that's why.
Right. How exciting was it for you when, after so many years of just kind of hitting a wall, to all of a sudden, which I think we would credit this 100% to the Holy Spirit kind of inspiring all of this out
Yeah, of
in
course.
you. How exciting was it when you hit that eureka moment? And
It's the point of it's driving me over here, right? So it's
yeah,
already like 13, 14 years now.
yeah,
I'm doing it. I'm doing that methodology
yes.
specifically. So I'm always excited. I want to meet Muslims. I want to tell them. And my point is, I want to tell them something which is very important information, which nobody's talking about. But they have to know it before they make a decision for Islam or against Islam. I don't want to force them, manipulate them to say, oh, you have to come to Christ. And I use opportunity
Right.
to shock them and kind of baptize them unknowingly, right? So I want them to come home and research. That's my intention.
Mm.
And I know for sure if they start researching online, they won't find any counter argument,
Yeah.
because there's only one way for the Islam to be, or the Quran to be somewhat reliable, right? If somebody will find ancient manuscripts of the Torah similar to the Dead Sea Scrolls written in Hebrew before the time of Muhammad, with the stories of the prophets as exactly as in the Quran, and also with the name of Muhammad ibn Abdullah in Hebrew. If they find it, they could say, whoa, the Quran confirmed that Torah, not your Torah, but that Torah. Then they could say, well, they would be like, phew.
But they
And
can't.
they can't.
There's
Because,
nothing.
first of all, nobody's looking. So like, why guys, you're building new mosques in the West. You're publishing the Qurans and you're giving dawah. Well, you take this money and give it to archaeologists. And that, because that's only way you can prove your faith. Because everything what Muhammad said, if you will go for that, he basically said, I am not the first guy. I am the last prophet of cost sequence of the prophets. Start with Musa alayhi salam, and he brought the Torah. I brought the Quran, and the Quran confirmed the Torah. Bingo. That's his claim. I put my claim. I'm just using his claim to validate, is it true or not? And of course, the Quran, the Bible, and the Torah they're not compatible at all. And it's shocking to many Muslims. And I said, well, you have to know that. You think it is, but it's not. And then they said, oh, your Torah been corrupted. I asked them, 2 words, prove it. Can you? Can you find a Torah which is compatible with your Quran and incompatible with our Torah?
Mhm.
Nobody's looking for it.
Mhm.
And definitely there is 1 in billion. They never find it. And argument stands. There is no counter.
Man, that is wild. My goodness. One of the things that I noticed in the comments, one of the things that really stood out with my interview with Greg that people were talking about, there was this one guy, I have it here, and we'll talk about it later, but there's this one guy that said, "Oh, Greg seems intelligent and I could have a conversation with him, but I would never engage in, some of these other guys who are really very aggressive and insulting and will do extreme things to get attention, right? So do you find that with this methodology, you can really engage them at a level where you don't have to, you just have an intellectual conversation with them and like piece by piece?
What happened is I really like them.
Mm.
I wish well for them. I don't want to go how dare you believe in that, right? So basically, I want to give them, opportunity to see the reality.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like people with the blindfolded. Can you see the person driving car blindfolded?
Yeah.
I'm like, no, 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 take the blindfold out. So you have to see the road in front of you. And that's what I see Muslims. And I want them to be open-eyed. So that's my main goal. And I don't see myself I want to convert them or whatever, right? Allah is this. So I won't really, I feel they've been betrayed. They've been lied to by some people, and they deserve to know the truth. And then even after they still choose to be in Islam, I don't mind. At least my part is done. I'm not God, right? Definitely. So how can I convince somebody? I cannot convince anybody. And my goal is just to share information. As 40 years ago, information, thanks to Gorbachev and Perestroika, information was shared with me. And I look at it and I make a decision based on comparison of what history said about communist and Bolshevik and about what reality and what we've been, sorry, not history, what we've been brainwashed. So something like that, when they see the Muslims, they don't know the truth. They don't know basic, the foundational stuff. And unfortunately, you can find a lot online with Muslim Christian debates and dialogues and even debates, and they're not talking about that issue.
Yeah,
Which is, I think it's fundamental one.
I think so too. Yeah. Wow. And so what's next for you, Alex?
Thanks for Greg coming along. It's really helped me. Like it's really boosted to go right to the next level. I can do it myself. Whatever I did, it was great. It came up with his own meticulous style of searching and finding stuff. So now we're doing a lot of stuff and he's doing most of the stuff of comparing stories in more details. Whatever I did the Quran Bible comparison,
Yeah.
I have 220 differences in the entire Bible versus Quran. He can find 941 differences
In one story, right?
Raise the stuff, right? It's amazing. So we're going to do that because it's research. It takes a lot of time. We try to popularize it on the internet. Try to, of course, among Christians, because a lot of those Christians who are engaged with Muslims, they cannot stay long in ministry because they feel burned out.
Yeah.
Not success, difficult conversations, as I did before 2011. I was not satisfied at all. So you don't you don't feel good to meet Muslims because you get under the heat of that. They have tons of questions. No matter how good you answer, it's not satisfied for them, right?
Yeah.
So you don't feel like you explain something which makes sense to them finally. So that's why I want to train Christians. Like, you don't need to be scared. You don't need to be afraid, and you can love them easily. You can feel for them. Let me tell you something. I don't need to push you. I don't to force you. It's like very formal, like look, informal, I should say.
Right.
It's very nice conversation. You do that. And everybody appreciate everyone.
Right.
They shake my hand at the end, sometimes give me a hug, thumbs up.
Wow.
So I saw them and I was shocked because, when I have a lot of seminars in the churches years back, like 2011, 12, 13, 14, 15. And I asked Christians to guess what their reaction after I exposed the Quran. Most of them are negative. I said, no, it's positive. This is bizarre.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't believe it because probably I'm not coming as bad guy.
Right.
Like I don't blaspheme Muhammad, Allah, the Quran. I just expose using the Torah. That's all I do.
You're not offending them when it comes to the Quran. You're showing them really the truth, I think, right? And in showing them the truth in a way that's gentle, in a way that's respectful. I think there is this misconception right now that in order to engage them, in order for them to respond, you have to do it aggressively, you have to get angry at them, or you have to, these things. But you're showing an entirely different methodology where you're engaging them. And I like your point of view is coming from a compassion point of view.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
That's
You have compassion towards them, not kind of hatred. You're the enemy. You are someone who is just misinformed, and let me help you. Right? And I think a lot of that has to do with maybe your background, right? Growing up communist, going up with that ideology and then realizing, hey, I was deceived. I believed this, but it wasn't the truth.
All I need to have access to the information. That's all. And I make my own decision. People were raised from my class, for example, of our university, who never became Christian. They have access to the same information I did.
Yeah.
But I saw it, okay, the Bible is true. For them, they did see. So again, we have a freedom to choose, but we need to have information, the truth before us to make a choice. But when I see the Muslims, they don't know the truth. I show them truth and let them make decision on their own without even my presence. That's what I like to do. And I think they appreciate that because I never push.
There's no pressure.
God forbid manipulation.
Right.
And I'm trying to train Christians as well with the Greg as well. You don't manipulate people. Even if you see the vulnerable, you can gently ask them if you want to accept Christ or not. Ready? Let them go. And direct contact. If they're not in contact, fine.
That's amazing. Wow. Well, I think we could go on a long time, but I know we're on a time limit and we're going to have Greg on here as well. So thank you so much, Alex. I hope that maybe this could turn into a series. Every once in a while, we'll meet up again and see what the update, maybe even go out there in the field, record some of these things with some really good audio, some really good video. And so people can see what this interaction looks like. I think that's one of the things also when people were commenting about Greg, they were wondering, are, are people actually converted with this type of method? How do they respond with this type of method? People were really questioning that in the comments. They wanted to know. So I thought, wow, wouldn't it be great if we could be out there in the field so people can see, hey, this is it. And then, like you said, we don't have to be intimidated anymore. I think Christians are not engaging in Muslims because they're just not equipped. Like what Greg was saying earlier, the pastors are not equipped. So of course, the parishioners and the other Christians are not equipped. And I think that this methodology, just like what I was telling Greg, is quite revolutionary, right? It's something that Christendom has not seen before. And so what would you say then, as we close off, to those Christians that are intimidated, that wouldn't dare engage in a Muslim because they know that the Islamic apologetics would just crush a lot of things that normal Christians would know? How could you encourage them, or what do you have to say to them, how to get into it?
If you still want to go and you're afraid, try to learn methodology from either from online courses we'll put in, or in person if you can. We have StreamYard meeting, whatever, right? So there we can basically idea is to equip as many Christians as we can, because our limitations, physical limitation. Like I like to talk to 2 billion Muslims, 2-3 hours each, or maybe 4. Okay. That will be my goal, right? But it's impossible.
Mhm.
So we need people somewhere talking to Muslims, not myself, but using exactly methodology which works and could produce a result at long term,
Yeah.
maybe even short term. So
Mhm.
learn methodology, learn how to use it thoroughly. You don't need to rush it, but if you know it, you can apply it and you will see result from day one. You can see result from the first meeting, and
Wow.
it will give you such a boost to drive, and then you start engaging yourself and start recruiting other people around. I
Nice.
start looking for Muslims to talk to them.
Most of the time you're avoiding them.
Not avoiding them, but I can't. I'm standing on the street. Like, how can I avoid them? They come to me. Oh, I get it. Now it's like, yes, yes, stop. That's completely different, right?
Incredible.